This week, I got back from a 2-week family vacation to the Mediterranean. My wife, kid, and I drove through different countries, stayed at various hotels, explored historic sites, tried local cuisine. We even had our son baptized while we were there. But as a medieval history enthusiast, I couldn't help but wonder, did people in the Middle Ages do anything like this? Did medieval people actually go on vacation? The short answer might surprise you. Not only did medieval people go on vacation, they might have been better at it than we are. Chapter 1. The Medieval Work-Life Balance Revolution. I know this sounds ridiculous. We imagine medieval life as nothing but grinding poverty and backbreaking labor. But recent research from major universities is completely overturning this assumption. Here's the evidence. Economists Jane Humphries from Oxford and Jacob Weisdorf from Southern Denmark University analyzed thousands of medieval wage records and discovered something remarkable. During certain periods, particularly 14th century England after the Black Death, workers averaged only about 150 working days per year. 150 days. That's less than half the year. Meanwhile, most of us work around 245 days annually. Take a typical medieval peasant in 14th century England. His work year was structured around agricultural seasons, but more importantly, around the church calendar. Plowing season might last 6 weeks in spring, followed by quiet periods until hay season, then harvest, followed by months of reduced winter work. But overlaying this was an extensive system of mandatory holidays that would make modern vacation policies look stingy. Chapter 2. Holy Days, Medieval Europe's Vacation Policy. The medieval church calendar was essentially Europe's first standardized vacation system. Every Sunday was completely work-free. That's already 52 days off per year. But that was just the beginning. Christmas wasn't just December 25th. It was the full 12 days of Christmas, lasting until January 6th. Nearly 2 weeks of continuous celebration. Easter stretched from an entire week or more. Pentecost was another major celebration. Then you had midsummer festivals, harvest festivals, and dozens of saint days scattered throughout the year. Let me give you a specific example. The festival of Hogtide, celebrated after Easter. Research shows this wasn't just a religious observance. It was a community-wide celebration featuring elaborate games where women would playfully capture men on Monday and men would return the favor on Tuesday. These mock kidnappings involved ransom payments that could generate up to 20% of a parish church's annual revenue. The word holiday literally comes from holy day, and medieval communities took these seriously. When the church declared a feast day, work stopped. Period. Entire villages would celebrate together with elaborate festivals featuring food, music, dancing, and community bonding. Chapter 3. Pilgrimage, Medieval Adventure Tourism. But medieval people didn't just take time off. They traveled extensively. Pilgrimage was medieval Europe's version of adventure tourism, and the scale was massive. The Camino de Santiago attracted hundreds of thousands of pilgrims annually during the High Middle Ages. The infrastructure was remarkably sophisticated. The route was dotted with hospitals, hostelries for pilgrims every few miles, with official guides, standardized pricing, even early forms of travel insurance through religious brotherhoods. Take Marjorie Kemp, a 15th century English woman whose autobiography describes her extensive travels to Jerusalem, Rome, and Santiago de Compostela. Her detailed accounts read like modern travel journals, dealing with difficult fellow travelers, navigating foreign customs, finding safe accommodation, and managing money exchange. If you're enjoying this deep dive into medieval travel culture, make sure to subscribe. I've got more episodes coming that reveal the surprising realities of medieval life, and trust me, you don't want to miss them. The Canterbury Tales isn't just literature, it's medieval travel writing. Chaucer describes pilgrims from different social classes traveling together, sharing stories, and dealing with group travel challenges. The Wife of Bath boasts about her travels to Jerusalem, Rome, and Santiago. She's basically a medieval travel blogger. But pilgrimage wasn't limited to famous international routes. Local pilgrimages were incredibly common. English people visiting Canterbury, Germans traveling to Cologne, and Italians visiting local shrines. These shorter journeys functioned exactly like modern weekend getaways. Chapter 4: Noble Life, the original jet set. Medieval nobility lived what we'd recognize as a perpetually mobile lifestyle. Local courts were constantly on the move in elaborate progresses that combined governance with extended social events. Take Henry II of England in the 12th century. His court was in perpetual motion between England and his continental territories. Medieval tournaments created an international circuit where knights traveled across Europe like professional athletes. The famous William Marshal competed in tournaments throughout France, England, and the Holy Roman Empire, earning prize money and building an international reputation. Hunting expeditions could last for weeks, essentially functioning as extended camping trips with elaborate portable accommodation. Eleanor of Aquitaine was famous for her hunting parties that combined sport with sophisticated court entertainment, including poetry competitions and musical performances. Chapter 5: Medieval spa culture and business travel. Even traveling specifically for health and relaxation existed in medieval Europe. The town of Spa in Belgium, which gave us the word spa, was attracting wealthy visitors seeking thermal springs health benefits as early as the 14th century. Bath in England maintained its Roman spa tradition throughout the medieval period. Medieval merchants traveled extensively too, creating international networks. The Hanseatic League created a commercial network spanning the Baltic and North Sea. Italian merchant families like the Medicis had representatives in major cities across Europe. Francesco d'Attini, a 14th century merchant, maintained offices from Florence to London, with correspondence describing the familiar challenges of international business travel. Chapter 6: What this means. What fascinates me most is how medieval people achieved something we're desperately trying to recover. They understood that rest wasn't a reward for productivity, it was a requirement for it. Their work patterns followed natural seasonal rhythms rather than arbitrary corporate schedules. Medieval people structured their society to accommodate human needs for rest, adventure, and social connection rather than treating them as luxuries. Taking time off wasn't something you had to justify. Community celebration was expected, not optional. During my own Mediterranean vacation, including that special moment baptizing our son in an ancient church, I realized we were participating in a tradition that goes back centuries. The fundamental human need to explore new places, take time away from routine, share meaningful experiences with family, these aren't modern inventions. Medieval pilgrims walking the Camino were doing something we'd recognize immediately, taking extended time away from home to experience adventure, meet new people, see different places, and return with stories. The motivations were different, spiritual rather than purely recreational, but the experience was remarkably similar. That's not to romanticize medieval life either. Disease, violence, and poverty were constant threats. I'll take modern medicine and safety standards any day. But medieval people figured out something about work-life balance that we might want to reconsider. So, did medieval people go on vacation? Absolutely. They just called it pilgrimage, holy days, and seasonal celebration. And they might have done it better than we do. And if you want to learn more about medieval people, watch the recommended video. You'll be surprised at how varied medieval life could be. Check out my sources below, and see you in the next one.